Hello and welcome back. I know it's been a while since we've done like a traditional indie interview, but we're finally back. I finally got someone into my void with me uh to finally do a proper indie interview after a long time. I am Mike. I am the creator of Howling Hoods and Myths of Manhattan, and today I am joined by a very special guest, Caitlin Space. Caitlin, introduce yourself.
Hi. It's Caitlin in
Oh,
space, by
Caitlin,
the
I'm
way.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay. But I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here to talk about Star Map.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these things. Yeah, probably should have asked how to properly pronounce your name, but
No, you're all
yeah,
good.
that's
It's
life in
okay.
this series. Yeah, when I was a stand-up comedian, one of the things was like, uh, you find out that like no matter how many times you write your name and tell people how to pronounce it, everyone will get it wrong, just
Oh,
one way or another. It's just,
yeah, I bet.
mhm. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, thank you for joining us today. We are talking about Star Map. It's
Mhm.
a indie animated series and it's a sci-fi world. Why don't you give us a little rundown of what the series is about?
All right. So this is my series called Star Map. It's a 2D sci-fi fantasy cartoon. So it's about this young boy named Zeke who dreams of exploring the universe, being an astronaut, just like his lost grandfather did before he disappeared years ago. But
Mhm.
when Zeke suddenly uncovers an ancient magical relic called the Star Map, he gains the power to locate anything, anywhere, and anyone. The very intense power, which is why everyone is after him for it. He finds himself on the run as evils all across different worlds are desperate to search for the boy with the magic that was once lost to time. So, with the help of a girl named Willa, with magical abilities of her own, Zeke sets out on an adventure across the universe to discover the mystery of his lost grandfather's whereabouts.
Nice. I love these constellations in the backgrounds. Did you do
Uh,
them yourself?
I did. Not all the backgrounds in my
No.
slides were done by me, but the constellations were.
Oh yeah, they're very cool. Do you know about constellations? Because whenever anyone like brings up the lore of like constellations to me and like how to identify them, like in the sky, it completely goes over my head.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but it is something that I've always been fascinated about since I was
Mhm,
a kid. Like
mhm.
I kind of got into it whenever like there's a planetarium near where I live, and
Ooh.
so I just after every show they would show like, oh, you can find like on Orion's belt, you can find this constellation up in the sky, and I wouldn't always find them, but like just that whole concept I thought was really, really cool. And just like how it all connects to just the entirety of space as a whole.
Mhm.
Like that's really cool to me. So I'm learning more about the constellations because
Of
obviously
course.
it's a show called Star Map. I need to know more about this stuff. But yeah, I'm currently learning about it and it's really fascinating. So I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
incorporate that stuff in the show.
Yeah. You like come up with like any original constellations for your series, or are they all like
No,
no?
all of this is gonna be based on kind of the stuff that's in real life. So I the reason for that is because I think just like what we have now, I like the thing that draws me to space so much is the fact that it looks like something from it looks like fantasy to me.
Oh
Just the
yeah.
fact that all of that's up there. So I to me like I could just use that and just make a story out of that. Like what if we had the ability to like explore how far can we go and stuff. So that's why I wanted to stick with real life
Mhm.
stuff rather than make up my own. It makes things more interesting that way.
Oh yeah, I know. I totally get that. It's one of those things that, like, when you learn about space and just like at first it starts off like very scientific, all that stuff, but then when you really get into like the nuance of it, it's like, oh my god, this is almost like a insane fantasy construct that it's
I
almost
know.
weird. Yeah, or that. Have you heard of that prompt of like the sun is the closest thing we have to like a Lovecraftian god?
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, like you can't stare at it too long or else you'll go blind, and like once it
Pretty
dies, we
much.
die. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane
Hmm.
just learning about all of that. And that I'm a massive fan of Star Wars, and they
Hmm. Oh,
like all of
nice.
that is fictionalized, if that's a word. I don't know
Oh,
if it
yeah.
is. Uh, like all of that is made up. But that I know why they do that, but I I haven't really seen a whole lot of people do like kind of what I'm wanting to do, other than it being in an informative way. So
Mm,
it's just that makes it a bit more interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it's always a fun thing to explore. Yeah, let's get into it a bit more. Let's talk about like Zeke, the boy dreamer. This is the main character you mentioned earlier. Um,
Yes.
mind giving us a little info on him?
Of course. So this is Zeke. He's the main character in Star Map. He's 14 years old, born on Earth, and he was raised by his grandfather, who was an astronaut himself. His grandfather is actually based on my own grandpa, who I don't know if he likes space a lot, but he likes sci-fi stuff a
Mm.
lot. But I have a really close relationship with him. He got me into cartoons and stuff,
Aw.
so I wanted to incorporate him within my own story.
Yeah.
um so he so Zeke, he's a, a lot of my characters have parts of my personality in them.
Mhm.
Zeke I connect with the most. Probably um he's very bubbly, very excited about all things space. Like if you tell him a space fact, he's gonna give you all the information about it. And he loves visiting the planetarium. He dreams of going up there.
Mhm.
Um to just explore. And I also want to explain a little bit about the star map power. It's alluded to it a bit within the pilot. By the way, for those that are watching and don't know, I do have a pilot that's out right now.
What?
It's been out for a little over a year. There's some story changes that have been altered since then, but it does have the main idea of the story there. But anyway, so the star map power, it's not a physical map. It's more of like this magic power that he has, that he accidentally like inherits.
Mhm.
It's kind of fuses with him in a way. I have a lot of cool ideas for the visuals for that. But essentially, like the map is in his brain, essentially. So he can close his eyes and he can see it, and he can use those stars, those constellations to find anything. Which I got inspiration from the visuals from like holograms in science fiction movies because I thought
Ah,
those were cool. I
nice.
thought, what if that was a magic power? That would
Yeah.
be really interesting.
Any of
But
them specifically? Like, is there any like sci-fi like hologram like in a show or a concept or anything that's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I gotta put that in there.
probably the first one that comes to my mind is The Force Awakens. Now I'm
Mhm.
as a big Star Wars fan, I'm not the biggest fan of the sequels, but I'll be honest about that. But there's one scene in The Force Awakens where there's it has a star map in the movie where they're
Oh, looking for Luke.
so
Oh,
looking for Luke, and I thought like just the feeling of that, just like the
mhm.
fact it really shows just how vast that galaxy is. And I
Yeah.
thought that is so cool in the way they did it visually. So I'm like, wait, what if that was a magic power? I kind of want to incorporate that into the story. So yeah, it's a big power, which is why like Zeke has it. He's just a young kid.
Yeah.
He's not exactly sure how to use it. So it's kind of put him at a disadvantage,
Yeah. I love.
because
Oh. I
Oh,
love Zeke's like little star button nose that he has. It's adorable.
oh, I want to talk about that. So I got inspiration, and that'll come up later. I got inspiration for all the character designs from Over the Garden Wall. I
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
I've I it's been compared to my style's been compared to Steven Universe a lot, which I
Hmm.
see it
Hmm.
with the color palette, but it's mostly based on Over the Garden Wall
Hmm.
because I watched it like a few years ago, and I really loved the noses and kind of how the style was. So what if I do that? Because
Hmm.
not I don't see that a lot. So they all have little noses. So he
Hmm.
has a diamond. Willa has a kind of like half, like I don't know what half circle, and Dawn has a circle, and so on. But yeah, that's he's just going on this adventure. He's not sure what he's doing, but he's gonna have help along the way, which can transition to. Oh, do you have any questions about Zeke? By the way,
I have a question about your grandfather.
yeah,
What was the kind of sci-fi he was into? Out of curiosity.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That's how I got into it.
No, yeah.
He also funny enough, he wanted to be an animator when
Hmm.
he was my age, but he never got the opportunity to.
Oh,
So I it's kind of my way of just including him
oh.
in that world of cartoons and animation, because it means a lot to me and it means a lot to him. So it's a very special part of the story that I haven't talked to many people about. If I keep talking about this, I'm probably gonna cry.
Okay.
So
That's so
he's
sweet. But
alive,
yeah,
I promise.
yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
we could totally move on to the next part. Yeah,
but yeah, okay. So this is Willa. She is the protector. She's 15 years old. She was born on Earth as well, but she was taken from Earth at a very young age to be trained as a soldier. But she deflected long ago. So she wields this moon staff. You can see her using it within the pilot. Her personality complete opposite of Zeke, as you can see with the color palettes, red and green.
hmm,
Complete opposites. Zeke, very happy, go lucky, loves to talk to people. Willa, complete opposite. She hates everybody. She
yeah.
does not like to talk to anyone. So they're definitely foils to each other. Um, but I Willa, she's also a really special character. Well, most of my characters are to me. She's actually so I'm there's a the project that I'm working on currently that I'll talk about a little later. It's her origin story actually.
Oh.
That's what I'm working on a project called Moonbeam that's connected to Star Map, and I'll go more over the details with that, but it's takes place 4 years before the events of the series, and it shows how she became that cold and distant
Hmm.
person, and how she struggled, and how Zeke can kind of help break break her out of that shell to be more comfortable with other people.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love her design. Was stuff like Sailor Moon an inspiration for your series? Because I know it's a bunch of
Actually, I had never seen
yeah.
Sailor Moon, but when creating these characters, I've seen a few episodes, and I can see why people would see the comparisons.
Hmm.
Uh, I I couldn't get into it really. I love the visual style of it, but
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with it, so uh, I don't. It's surprising that I never got into it at all.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I get this. Just the way this staff is kind of made does remind me of kind of like how for the images I see of Sailor Moon, kind of like focuses the
Yeah.
design over like very incorporating like moon and like star stuff. Yeah, but yeah, it's just a quinky dink. I mean, those happen all the time in animation, like cartoons and stuff like that. Yeah, like
Hmm.
I remember the creator of like My Hero Academia, like a lot of people was like, "Oh, is Shoto based off Todoroki because they're both like fire boys with a bad fire dad, and they both have like a
Mhm.
scar." And at the time, he actually didn't see. He didn't see Avatar: The Last Airbender yet. It's just yeah, it's just one of those
Really?
things. Yeah, I mean, it just happens. But like, oh, there's also like the fact there's all these
Oh,
like
I never thought about that.
yeah, so
They're
many
really
designs.
similar.
Yeah, yeah. Now you say she wields a moon staff to control her own magic. Can you go? Do you want to go a bit into her like her magic she can do now, or do you want to go?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, essentially, so she has a different kind of magic from Zeke. While Zeke's is knowledge based and he wasn't born with it, Willa has magic that's tied to just moons. She's able to kind of control slight gravity somewhat. She can control water a little bit, but without the staff, it's a little bit it's harder for her to
D-
control it, so
Okay,
it's kind
it's like
of
a conductor.
essentially, yeah. Cool thing about the staffs, however,
Mhm.
is that so I like to think of them as like Thor's hammer, Mjolnir,
Yeah.
where and this is touched upon a little bit when you see Moonbeam, where the staff has to trust you. If it doesn't trust you and you've never held it
Mm,
before, it will just plunk. It will go straight to the ground and it will be extremely heavy.
right.
So the more you trust yourself and the staff will trust you, and once you finally, trust within yourself and staff and trust in you, it will transform into a different weapon that suits you the best based on your
Oh,
fighting
very
style.
cool. Now
Uh,
you.
it-
Oh, sorry. Go on.
oh, oh, I'm done.
Okay. Now you say it will be extremely heavy. Will it be like Mjolnir, where it's just like anchored to that point of existence where like no one else can lift it up, or is it possible for like a very strong human or like monster to like possibly pick it up with just like brute
It
force?
it is possible to pick it up. It's just very difficult. Like
Hmm.
it really makes you like it varies from person to person. It's basically like this challenge to see
Okay.
like are you really do you really like
Hmm.
want to be able to control this power? Do you really want to wield it? uh and because anyone can just pick up a staff, but it's kind of like
Hmm.
not sentient but kind of like you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
so
limited amount
that's
of life it has,
exactly.
like the TARDIS almost. Uh,
Yeah, it's like this connection that they
mhm.
have, and I really wanted to explore that. And I
Okay.
thought it was a really interesting concept. And it will be dive. So, based on the information, you can kind of see where Willa is at. Like she can wield the staff just fine, but it's still the
Hmm.
same.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna elaborate
Okay.
further into
Okay.
that, but
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
ask, is there a possibility of staff changing when like they get older?
yes. It's more so to do with, and it can happen from any age.
Mhm.
Like where you build the confidence within yourself and your abilities, and like not just your abilities but just within yourself as well. So there's a lot of that emotional connection as well to
Mhm.
it. But I won't elaborate further on it
No,
because
no,
then
of course.
that will lead into spoilers. So
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil anything.
no, I get that. You're not that a person where it's like I have to tell you every detail,
I have to tell you every detail
every
about what
plan.
happens.
Yeah, and before we move on, I just want to ask, uh, I love the way you draw their hair. Is the reason why their hair is so floaty? Is it because they are in space with like zero G's?
There's not really a reason.
No.
I really love drawing hair and
Mhm.
I like to make it flowy.
Oh
So
no, yeah,
with animating, it does. I have to think about that. But
of
with
course.
illustrations, I just go with it. I just
Mhm.
their hair will be flowy.
Ah, nice.
All right. So this goes a little further into, so if Willa and Zeke don't get along with each other, so we know who they are at this point. Um, if they don't get along with each other, why are they helping each other? So essentially, they make this deal. Because Willa is a skilled fighter, um, Willa makes this promise to Zeke that if he helps her find somebody that she lost, she will help protect him. So they make this hesitant agreement with each other despite not really getting along. On the slide, I also have just a funny arrow with Willa's ship. So she
Will
has her
ship.
own ship. Um, that's actually a sheet from the pilot. I don't have an updated version of it, so I'm like, I'll just put that in there to
Yeah.
kind of add more visual stuff to it. But yeah, so they reluctantly, more so reluctantly on Willa's end, work together. Zeke is like, "Oh, cool, a new friend. Uh, that I'll get to know." So there'll be a lot of that conflict, with them just struggling to get along, struggling to work together. But in the end, they slowly do. They have a sibling dynamic with them. Funny enough, within the pilot, we casted siblings to
Oh,
voice
very
them.
nice.
So so uh Zeke won't be recasted because he's way too old now.
Uh,
David is, but I'm hoping to bring back Emily for
mhm,
Willa, since
mhm.
she's around the same age as me. So, but yeah, that was really fun. It was not intention. It was not intentional to have them be voiced by siblings, but it
Yeah,
ended up working out really well.
yeah. It's always a funny thing we can kind of look behind the scenes. It's like, oh, they're actually brothers in real life, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. You mentioned it's Willow's ship, and that Willow was a soldier. Was this trained to be one? Are you saying was she like trained to be a pilot or like more of
No,
a no?
no, she wasn't. I'm not. This is gonna get into spoilers for
Hmm.
Moonbeam, so I'm not gonna say anything else
Okay.
about that. But there is a reason why she has a ship. So, but no, she was not trained to
Nice.
be a pilot. She kind of figured that out
Nice.
along the way.
Now, did Zeke bring along his own spacesuit, or did Willow just happen to have a spacesuit in like Zeke's
I
colors?
haven't figured that out. I think they just went to a shop and went like, okay, we're looking for two suits,
Okay.
in these sizes. Here you go. Here's the change. And they just, I think that's how that might be off screen of how
Hmm.
they're gonna have that, but yeah, that's how they got those.
Oh, yeah, it's very, very, very cool, very stylish. I like the little buttons on top. Probably
Oh,
not but
thank you. But yeah. Oh, okay. So this is a character that is not in the pilot, but she's very important. So this is Dawn. She is the Princess of Earth. And she's the main antagonist. For the
ooh.
At least for the first season. So she's 16 years old. This is going. So she's like Willa's opposite. Willa is Moon, Dawn is the sun, essentially.
Hmm.
And so going back to the staff thing, with that context, she has her own bow and arrow. So you can kind of get an idea of where Dawn is as a character, with where she is with herself. She's very very confident on the surface. She knows what she wants, and what she wants is the star map's power. So she will do whatever it takes to get it. But the big mystery that Zeke and Willa are not sure what's going on is, why does she want the star map's power? If she has all of this power, in royalty, why would she want a map? Like, what is she looking for? And so that's a big mystery aspect to it. So there's going to be a lot of fun fights between Willa and Dawn,
Hmm.
the two opposites. And I the dynamics with these characters are going to be really fun.
Hmm.
I, so my so for Moonbeam, my younger cousin is actually voicing the younger version of Willa. She's awesome. And I've been talking to her about Star Map, and Dawn is her favorite character. She absolutely loves her,
Oh,
uh,
that's
which
nice.
is really sweet. So I'm really excited. I've done some test animations with Dawn before, so I have her whole introduction episode planned out. Well, not everything, but most of it planned out. So I'm so excited for
Mhm.
people to be introduced to her. She's I'm so excited to just have her come to life. But that's essentially who she is.
Nice, nice. You say she's after the star map. That's in Zeke's head. How would she plan on like getting into house? Is it through like a magic mechanism, or is it like
Well,
dissection?
there's not really a clear way to the characters on how to get the star map away from Zeke because it's infused with him. He essentially becomes the map.
Hmm.
So um and Dawn isn't the only one that's after the map. A bunch of other people are. So they essentially just want to kidnap him to like see like okay, can you tell us like where this thing is, where this person is, and I so I don't have everything figured out, but that's the main gist of it. And uh, all of these different characters have different reasons for. Some are for good intentions, some are bad intentions. So that's the mystery with Dawn is what could she possibly want if she seemingly has everything.
Hmm.
And so mostly they would just I'm probably going to convey it as they would try to convince him to use his power um to because they're not sure how to get it away from him because he's essentially become it
Hmm.
in a way.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I noticed on the right sketch of her, like kind of in the middle, is she wearing a dress in that?
Yes, that is a dress. I I don't want to reveal too much
No.
about her introduction episode, but she is royalty.
Hmm.
I watched a lot of Barbie movies as a
Well,
kid, so I of course I had to have a princess character in my story because it's my story. I want to do what I want with
yeah.
it because it makes it more fun, you know. So she's gonna have a dress and it's gonna be beautiful. That I'm pretty sure that's the working concept I'll be going with. That's not an official frame, by
Not
the way.
okay.
It's like a test to see how can I do
How
this to
she moved?
make
Yeah.
animating for later
Yeah.
easier. But that's essentially the idea of kind of where I'm going
Mhm.
with that. But yeah.
Yeah. Now is she gonna have like a dress, or is it gonna be like a dress that's also like a space magic dress or something? Like is it gonna float and be all space like?
Ooh, I didn't think about that. I'm still working on ideas for how her outfits. I I take so much from Star Wars with my stuff. I admittingly. So I got really inspired by Padme Amidala, who is a queen in
Uh-huh.
Star Wars, and she has so many different outfits that
Oh
are
no, yeah, I was gonna
all
ask
so
what.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to do something similar with that. I mean, she has her main outfit
Mhm.
in the at the top left, but I want to give her like so many different
Like
outfits because I
like a
think that would be
revolving
really
wardrobe.
fun.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
So,
You mentioned
uh,
she's a princess. I'm curious. Does she have like a lineage family or stuff like that? Does she have like a king father, or is it just like have her? Or
uh, she does have a family. I'm actually so like Willa with Moonbeam. I'm hoping to have for her to have her own little origin. It's in the very rough stages right now. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but that is something that I want to do later down the line. So that will dive deeper into that
Mhm.
aspect because it's a very crucial part of her character and kind of why she's doing the things that she's doing.
Mhm.
But I won't elaborate further on that, but she does have a family.
Oh, nice, nice. I love the bow you gave her like this. Was it
Oh,
designed off a
thanks.
specific bow, or is it like an original bow? that you just
Uh,
design for fun? Like, is there any like historical like relevance towards it, or is it just something
Not
that's like, "Oh, I thought this
really.
would be cute"?
I was thinking about, because I do have a design for it's like the moon staff, there's the sun staff, and I
Mhm.
thought, how can I incorporate something sun like in the bow? Because that's really difficult. So I went, oh, I'll just have these triangles, just
Mhm.
because I don't think that would interfere much. I I'm wanting to make props of all of these like different weapons to see like how,
Ooh,
but
cool.
would they really work? Not only for like reference for animation, but also the
Yeah.
practicality of them.
No, yeah, I get
Um, so yeah, no, nothing really historical or
that.
that really inspired
Yeah,
it. I just went, what? How can I make this bow more
yeah,
sun like? And
yeah,
so that's
yeah.
what I went with.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was, like, because of, like there are a handful of myths where, like, someone just shoots an arrow into the sun with their bow. I wonder if, like, that was the connection or uh,
Yeah, there is a reason though why she has a bow and arrow.
ooh.
So I based her character a little bit off of so there's the constellation, I think it's called Sagittarius, and
Mhm.
it's the archer. So I based a lot of her character and kind of the themes around her based on like archers. It's gonna be a part of her backstory um that I haven't fully figured out, but essentially,
Yeah,
archery is a big thing with Dawn. It's a
yeah.
big part of her character, and so naturally, her staff becomes the bow and arrow because it means a lot to her and for who she is. And yeah, that
Oh,
and
nice.
Sagittarius is the archer, so that's
Yeah.
kind of where I got that inspiration from.
Yeah, would you say it comes through like a, like, almost like a collapsible, bow and arrow slash staff, or is it just, like is it a magic thing where, like, just it just becomes a bow?
It just becomes it's like those magical transformation scenes, but it's just with the weapon in a
Okay.
sense.
Yeah,
I
that's funny.
I I would reference Shira with that.
Right.
I got a lot of inspiration from Shira as
I mean, the
well.
colors remind me a lot, from what I've seen of the
Yes.
show.
I
Uh,
love that show and like
mhm,
the magic transformation scenes
mhm.
in that. I don't want to do a whole lot of that in the show, but like some of it with like the weapons and with the like the transformations. I thought those are really cool. I want to incorporate that into this story.
Yeah, just
So
a magical girl transformation, but, like, instead of, like, a dress, she just gets like, a sword.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, was there any, like, designs that were an influence with her? Like, her just, like, character design at all? Like, outfit or her, like, face or anything?
Most not really.
No?
I she was like Zeke and Willa. They were all just like little sketches that I made that I didn't think would amount to anything in the future. But I grew this attachment to them as I was
Oh, of
drawing
course.
them over and over again, like what happens with all of us. And she later down the line, like she was not going to be as big as a character as I thought she was going to be, but I wanted to learn so much more about her as I kept going on. Like,
Mm,
what if she was royalty? What would that entail? What big purpose would she have with the story? And she became such a massive part of it that like it she's so I love all my characters. I really love Dawn.
mhm.
Sh Not just because she's a princess, but that's part of it.
Yeah. Uh,
I grew up with so many of those movies.
yeah.
But
Was there, I don't know much about archery. Is there a reason why she has a band on her arm, or is it just a cool thing?
it's mostly just a cool thing.
That's fine.
I
Cool things are
I
cool.
think yeah. Oh, there is a little bit. So I would watch the Clone Wars animated series, and Ahsoka had
Mm,
not exactly her outfit, but something kind of similar. Like she would have the armbands and stuff. So I think I unintentionally incorporated that to her character because I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing.
That's
So
great.
that's why she has them. Not really a use, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
just
no,
there.
it looks good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that era of cartoons did have like a weird trend of like giving a lot of their female characters like armbands, like Cora. She has an armband too. I don't think it's ever explained.
Really, I didn't
Yeah.
notice.
No. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
would you mind if we go to the next slide or you
Yes.
okay, cool.
Okay. So, not really much to this slide. There's other characters that we meet throughout Zeke's journey. There's August on the left, and then there's Yurza on the right.
I like her
So
ears.
there's going to be like additional characters, but I don't have them all designed yet. But those are some of them. Yurza is more. She's I'm still figuring her out with the story as of right now, but with August, they're very crucial.
Mhm.
They they're a non-binary character, by the way.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and so they're more in tune with the magic side of things. So they're a character that Zeke and Willa go to learn like what the heck is his power, like what do we use it for essentially? Because at the end of the day, like they're all kids. They're in this world that they're still trying to understand,
Yeah.
while trying to figure themselves out. So they go to August, who is more in tune with that sort of information, and the characters just learn more about it. August is, I think, the most recent character design I made. They're really fun to draw. I've had a lot of my friends already make fan art of them, which is really cool. So, but yeah, August, a big part of the story. Yurza, I'm still figuring stuff
Mhm.
out. She might be in a different season, or she might be in this one. I'm not sure.
Uh,
Um, but yeah,
is she a bear girl?
I'm not sure. She is supposed to be based on the Ursa Minor constellation, the little bear.
Yeah.
Um, that's where her inspiration came from. But as for what to do with her, I don't know.
Yeah.
She might be an alien. She might just be someone who likes to dress up as a bear. Who
Okay.
knows?
So those
Uh,
ears might not be her like her biologically connected to her or
I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. She but she might just be the representation of the constellation in a dream for all I know. But
yeah,
I
she's
really
very
like her
cute.
design. She's
Oh
really
no.
fun.
Yeah.
So I'll see what I want to do with
Yeah.
her in
Yeah.
the future.
Now, are you going to come up with like species names for some of these characters like August?
Yes. Now, August, I don't really have a specific species name for them. They're mostly a fawn character from fantasy.
Okay.
That was accidental, but I went, I want to give them like funky looking ears, and that they turned into fawn ears. Like, what if I do the same with the legs? And now they're a fawn. So that might be a I might come up with a name for that species, but as of right now, there's none.
Yeah.
However, there's another character that will come up later, I think, in the next slide or two, who I do have a species name for.
Nice.
But yeah, not a whole lot here. It's still stuff I'm figuring out in the rough stages.
It's very cute. I like it. I like their tunic kind of thing they're wearing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, very cute. Anyway, we'll go. Oh yeah, are we gonna see like? Would you want to see like other throughout the will it be like adults of like his of their race like going around the place or
Probably. I do want to like throughout the show, like show like there this is not just a world of kids, there are also
yeah.
adults. I I've been asked this before of why specifically kids for my story. Um and the reason why is because like just that feeling of that time of being a
Vulnerability.
kid is it's so special and
Mhm,
very like, not to say that every other part of life isn't special, but there's like this magic to being a kid that's
mhm.
really hard to explain. and like just especially finding yourself. This is a story
Right.
about really finding yourself and what's important to you, who you are. And so I really wanted to emphasize that, like, with these kids, well, they're mostly teenagers,
Right, right. I
um,
mean, those are still kids.
still kids pretty much. uh so that was really important to me, to have like younger kids connect, teenagers to connect, and adults. It will be centered towards kids, but I'm mostly doing what like Avatar and Infinity Train did, where there
Mm,
is a focus on the kids, but there's also like, and like that could be said for any cartoon, but it
yeah,
won't hide the darker sort of themes
yeah.
of the story, because
I mean, yeah,
there will be darker themes in this, and that I will tread carefully,
yeah,
but that is something I do want to note.
yeah.
um
I mean, also
but
just having a series that kind of starts kids like going on like an adventure like this can always like give like almost like a heightened sense of danger or like
yeah.
kind of that was the thing I liked when I read stuff like Percy Jackson when I was younger, or even stuff
Hmm.
like Bone of like it feels like something wrong can happen with these kids like any second.
Like any second now, which is honestly the feeling that you get when you're a kid yourself.
Oh yeah,
And like, I know I've definitely felt that way before. I still kind of do, and I think a lot of people have that experience too. So, and like, that's a story that's been told several times, but I want to, like, just from my
yeah,
perspective and a lot of other of my friends' perspectives, I want to just kind of do my own interpretation of
yeah.
that, and kind of where a story like that can go.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, there's a reason why like it's a story that's been told like a bunch of times.
absolutely.
Yeah, because it's like it's there for a reason. I remember I was reading like Discworld and Terry Pratchett has like a line of like the reason why cliches are cliches is because they're a tool, like they are the
Hmm.
nuts and bolts of our conversation and story writing. Uh, which
Yeah,
it yeah, it's just like it's just you gotta do it your own way. Just but it's like don't like knock it just because it's been done a bunch before. Uh yeah. I love
absolutely.
how do you have a height chart for any of these characters? Because they all look very
I
small. Like in a good
for
way.
Not for my side characters, but for the main, like Zeke, Willa, and Dawn, I somewhat do.
Hmm.
Willa is the shortest one. She is very short.
Oh
I think
really?
she's like 5'2", 5'1", 5'2"
Hmm.
ish. So Zeke's taller. Dawn's the tallest of them all, though.
She's
I
6.
think I'm gonna have. I think Zeke's gonna get a growth spurt
Hmm.
at some point, so he might be as tall as Dawn. Willa, she's gonna be stuck that way.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
I remember the production of the pilot. I wasn't the only one doing storyboards and animation, and so when I saw a rough pass, Willa was like the same height as Zeke. Went, no, she's
Yeah.
supposed to be tiny. So
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah.
So like that was fixed pretty quick, but everyone was like, "What? She's tiny? She's
Hmm.
small?" Yeah. Uh
I mean, that's
so, by the way, if anyone watching this is 5152, I'm not
mm,
sorry. My
yeah.
mother is 5'2".
Mm,
I make fun of her for it all the
yeah.
time.
My daughter's
I,
4 foot she's 4'8".
oh really?
Yeah, yeah, she has like a form of like legal dwarfism. So yeah,
Uh
yeah, she teaches kids. So yeah, like halfway
oh
through, like
cool.
yeah, well, it's like she talks about like halfway through the year, like the kids start to make fun of me because they're taller than me, despite the fact they're in like elementary school. Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah.
mm,
But
yeah,
I love everyone of different heights. It's just
hmm,
the people personal in my life. I
yeah,
make fun of you,
yeah.
so I
Would
make fun of Willa
yeah,
as well.
yeah. Would you mind if we go to the next slide?
Yes.
Ooh, inspirations.
Yeah, so I touched a little bit on the inspirations for this. So a lot of them, uh, there's Infinity Train. I watched that when the first few seasons came. Have you seen Infinity Train, by the way?
I've seen bits of it. I should probably watch it one day. I've seen all the deaths, basically all the stuff they made
Ah,
on all the stuff that was on Twitter, basically.
yeah. When just everywhere was going nuts. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
how did they let this
Yeah.
be in a kids show? But I watched it when like the first two seasons came out. Like
Mhm.
they came around the same time because they were working on them simultaneously almost. But I love the show. I love just the direction that it took, and I didn't realize how much inspiration I took from it until like thinking about what inspired Star Map for me, and that was the big one I was thinking of in terms of like the art style with the storytelling and everything. I love it so much. Another inspiration for me, which is another big one, is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I grew up with the show. I love it. I have that poster in my room right now. It's I absolutely love the Clone Wars, and I like, not just the Clone Wars, but with Star Wars in general, but mostly the Clone
Mhm.
Wars, Star Wars Rebels, all of that. They're shows that mean a lot to me with the characters, the storylines, and they're not afraid to like again dive into serious subject matter, which is something I really appreciate
Or
about
have
it.
yeah, or have a jobber get, like, bisected. Uh,
uh, but yeah, Clone Wars is really cool. I would recommend any of these to anyone. Over the Garden Wall, I touched upon earlier with the style.
oh, yeah, love
Uh,
that.
I love Over the Garden Wall so
Oh,
much.
no, yeah,
And then
every fall, it's when when I watch it.
every fall, the tradition. And then there's Wally as well.
Mhm.
Wally is my favorite. It's like I'm a Disney kid. I grew up with Disney and Pixar all around me, and so I would always want to watch Wally like over and over again, along with the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's a story that means a lot to me. It's mostly because it's really strangely grounded in reality
Oh,
and what
yeah.
could potentially happen.
Well,
And
sadly.
yeah, uh, deep stuff right there. But it's a story that has always meant a lot to me, and I really love Wally. Wally and Eve, and just the whole concept of it
Mhm,
is
mhm.
it's always meant a lot to me, and so I of course want to incorporate just parts of that story within my own story.
Yeah, no, totally.
So yeah.
I am curious, because I've just been noticing pattern. Feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but is there a theme of like emptiness or kind of loneliness in between worlds or like groups
I
as a
never
theme?
thought about it like
No.
that, but I kinda. I mean, you could say because there is kind of a theme of exploration and going on these adventures, but it's also like like it's not as simple. It's not as black and white. There's also like just exploring yourself and like is this what you really want? Like
Hmm.
like what is it that you truly desire? What do you need versus what you want? And like a big thing is like the change as well, like, which is important with any story.
Hmm.
I never thought about the loneliness aspect of it, but I guess based on how I've written Zeke, Villa, and Dawn,
Hmm.
there is definitely a connection to that, which I won't elaborate further on that because that's spoilers, and I don't want to reveal
Oh
spoilers.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. It's
that's
just
an interesting
mhm,
connection. I never made that.
yeah. I mean, I feel like it's kind of something to kind of run to a lot with themes of both like fantasy and like sci-fi when it's like a journey. It's kind of the
Mhm.
loneliness of just like the area because that was a I remember that was a thing with like Wally of just like how one of the things I took away from it was just how kind of lonely Wally's existence is.
Definitely. Yeah, and I feel like that is a big thing with Zeke's character
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he's a character that really struggles to connect with other people.
Hmm.
And so it's a story about how like that I mean that's why he wants to go up to the stars. Maybe if he doesn't have connections here, maybe he will find some up there. And it's like this really beautiful journey about him finding those connections when he least expected it.
Hmm.
So uh, a lot of these themes are unintentional. Some of them are, but some of them aren't.
Yeah.
It's like, based on based heavily on my own personal experiences as well as some other people that I know as well. But definitely, I feel like a lot of people will take away a lot from this story. I feel like a lot will connect. A lot
Mhm.
of people will connect with these themes that I'm hoping will come across well with the end product.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just one of the things of like kind of not even knowing the theme of when you're writing, but once it's there, it's just like, oh yeah, I can totally see that when you look back.
They're like, oh yeah, that's total. I totally meant to have
Yeah.
that in it. That was all part of the plan.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt when writing Moonbeam actually, because I
Mhm.
was writing some stuff. Some of it answers some of the questions that people had in the pilot. Like from my team helping me with the pilot. And some of the questions in it were unintentionally answered when I went, "Oh, I can make that connection right there. Whoa, I that was completely intentional. That I meant that
Yeah.
the whole time. That I did not just come up with an excuse for that. Okay, I to be fair, it I've been told that it does line up seamlessly, which is great. Uh, and I just go, yep, I meant that.
No,
I
yeah.
meant that the whole time.
Yeah.
But and, as long as the final results make sense,
No, I think that's like a strength of a lot of writers, like of especially like kind of not knowing like having that general idea, but like being able to play fast and loose to a degree, but also still like keeping like not making it seem like out of order or stuff like that. Or
Mhm, definitely. But yeah, do you have any further questions about the inspirations?
no, would you mind if we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry, yeah. Uh did your grandfather ever watch any of these with you other than Star Wars?
He's watched every cartoon I forced him to
Yeah.
watch.
Nice. Yeah.
Some of them he liked more than others. I made him watch all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Grandpa.
Oh.
Uh, and I think he had a fun time.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, every the amount of times I made him rewatch Phineas and Ferb episodes.
Really?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Nice. Alrighty.
But yeah,
Yeah. Next one.
okay. So Moonbeam. So if people who are watching have been on my socials, like on YouTube or Instagram, you might see. So if you're working on Star Map, what the heck is Moonbeam? So I do want to make a video about this separately at some point. To kind of help because this is the big question that I've been given because I've had I have a lot of film friends from a program that I
Hmm.
was in, and I've had a lot of them ask like, so is this a sequel? Is this like what is this? Um, so it's a prequel actually, and where people get confused is it was intentionally meant to be a short film, and then that it was supposed to be only like 30 minutes. So from my film teachers I was told that one page of a script is roughly equivalent to a minute of film.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I take that to consideration whenever I'm writing anything. And so when I got to the page like 28 and I was not halfway through the story, I had the whole timeline of what happens in Moonbeam in my head. I still do. And I was not halfway through. It's like, oh shoot, what do I do? I can't make a feature length. So I got some advice from my friends going, what should I do about this? Should I like split it up into parts? Like should I do part two? They went, yeah. Uh you should do a part two. Uh and so I went, okay. And so part two became part three. And so now there's three full parts. So it became from a little short to a little mini series essentially. Um
Yeah.
but that's okay. It unintentionally it turned into a good practice for how I'm gonna make future episodes for the series. So that's why I'm working on this first,
Uh huh.
versus making the series right now. That will first of all, I don't have everything in the series figured out, as you could probably tell. I have a lot of it figured out, but not everything. And I'm a perfectionist, so I want everything figured out before I get
Mhm.
started with it. It took me like a whole year to write all 3 scripts for Moonbeam because I wanted them to be the very like best they could be, and for them to like really be able to tell the story that I've envisioned in my head for almost 2 years now. I've been conceptualizing this for a long time. And so essentially what is Moonbeam about? It's about the origins of Willa. So if you remember from Willa's slide, I was kind of hinting at she was born on Earth, but she was raised in this training facility to be a soldier. This is kind of what so this is a story of how she got there and how she escaped. So this is like an escape story. It's a story that really tests the character's morals, and kind of where her place is in the world. Um, so essentially, what this facility is, so it takes place on one of Jupiter's moons, called Europa. That's a real moon, and it's
Mhm.
really cool learning about kind of what's on the surface of it. So it's like a whole moon is covered in ice, essentially,
Oh, is
and
it like harder than steel?
hardened steel. Wait, what do you mean by that?
Is the ice harder than steel? Because I remember hearing of a planet like that, of like where the moon's covered in ice. I mean, the planet's covered in ice, but the ice is like so hard, it's like denser than steel.
I'm not sure. It might be.
Mm.
Though I know that there is an ocean underneath it, so I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to do further research on it. But essentially, it's like these big icy moon, with a whole ocean, and so there's like a big structure just like I have some ravines. Don't know if the ravines are there in real life, but they are in this
Mhm.
universe. And so they're kind of like submerged in between is where the facility called Tidal Sector is, and
Mhm.
Tidal Sector is where these moon soldiers are being trained. Willa is one of them, and so they basically just grow up. I so the inspiration from this I took from something that's not touched on Star Wars a lot, which is kind of how the Jedi are recruited, where they're kind of taken
Stolen
away from their
children.
home and told you're not allowed to speak to your family or friends ever again, and we're going to train you to just be uh emotionless like
Mhm.
soldiers essentially. um so like and it's not really touched upon in the movies a lot. So what if I do that but kind of
Yeah.
show what it would kind of as realistic as something like this can get,
Mhm.
um kind of what that would be like. And so it's this environment with these kids, and they're basically being told that they're doing these good things. They're being told that they're going to be fighting for justice and peace. Little do they know, they are working for the villain.
Oh.
I don't have a slide of the villain. His name is Sir Mallory. His design is the funniest thing I've ever made. Uh, he's like a big old axolotl guy that I just drew one day in class, and a friend of mine told me, "Hey, you should add him to Star Map." And so now he is, and he's everyone loves him. I hate him, but I love him and I hate him. But
Yeah.
uh what was I saying? So essentially that's what Moonbeam is about. It's about a big core thing with Moonbeam, however, is the friendship between Willa and another character who is important to the series, named Finton. Now she doesn't become important to the series right away. Um and I won't further elaborate on that, but essentially, so if you're wondering who Finton is the girl at the bottom, with the darkish blue hair right there.
Uh-huh.
And she's Willa's best friend, but there is a bit of a conflict with that. There's a big conflict with Willa and Finton, where they're really struggling. So while Willa is unsure of where she kind of stands within this facility, what they're fighting for, Fenton is all for it. She's like, heck yeah, I'm for the villain.
Yeah.
Like, well, what's the problem here? So now, and everything changes for Willa once she meets the character that's right next to her. By the way, Willa in this has brown hair. She
Dyes
canonically
it.
dyes it. She
Nice.
dyes it. So I I almost forgot. I should have elaborated on that. But yeah, she has brown hair and it's longer. So but yeah, that's Willa on at the top at the left. But on the other side, so this is the character I was talking about where I do have a species name for him. So
Ooh.
his name is Clover. Very very important character. He's the most difficult design and the most fun design I've ever made.
Ah.
I there's times where I hate drawing him and there's times where I love drawing him. It's like that in between. And so
Mhm.
Clover, he's Cadmerian. That's his species name. He's from the planet of Cadmus. And so he is the one that reveals the truth to Willa that they're not fighting for peace. Uh, they're doing the exact opposites. They're taking control of different worlds. They're kind of like the stormtroopers, essentially,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they're just conquering all these different places.
Yeah,
And
I was
he learned that the hard way when he was Willa's age, and um, now he's not sure where to go. And so uh, I won't say anything else about Moonbeam, like in terms of the story, but so that's the big conflict where like Willa is figuring out her morals. Does she go with her friend, the person that she's pretty much grown up with her whole life, the person that she's supposed to trust more than anyone in the whole world, or does she trust this
Mhm.
person that hasn't she's just met, but like her guts telling her that there's what Fenton is telling her to do isn't right, and what Clover's telling her, like he's the one that's making sense, and so she's very confused, like very conflicted on where she stands, and so it kind of dives into that idea. And so that's essentially what Moonbeam is about. So again, it's a prequel. There's going to be 3 parts to it, and the series isn't. So the Star Map series isn't in production, but Moonbeam technically is. I'm storyboarding and doing some test animations with part 1 right now, and those 2 screenshots right there are both screen captures, stills from the first part,
Right.
which is really
Oh.
exciting.
Oh, yeah, nice. Is that the upside down hearts part of his uniform?
So uh they kind of are. He he added on the upside down. They're supposed to be like clover leaves,
Mhm.
kind of like
Oh,
his symbol. uh, I've I've thought about like are they kind of like Spinel from Steven Universe's upside down heart?
oh, no, I just thought
Looking
upside down
back on
hearts.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the reason for them. He just put the clovers on them. There is a an official moon soldier outfit, and he
Mhm.
just kind of did his own thing with it.
Ooh, nice.
Uh, I kind of it's up to your imagination of how he changed up the colors and stuff. He's a good seamstress. I'm
Mhm.
cartoon logic. That there you go. Uh,
How old is he by?
he's 18 years old.
Okay.
He's a much older character. Willa in this is 11. So very young. Um but it's like this really complicated situation that they're all in and they're not sure exactly where to go, and they all have their different opinions about like, is this even right, is this even wrong? And so that's kind of what Moonbeam really tackles
Mhm.
throughout part 1, 2, and 3. So I'm so far from what it's from how it's turning out really well. I'm really excited to get this story out there. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to do it, but
No,
uh,
no.
I'm working on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just one of those things of like you just kind of gotta push through it, and like it's. I gotta say, this is anime gorgeous. Are you the only animator on this, or do you have other
I'm
coworkers?
the only animator on it currently.
Hmm.
Though I have friends that do want to help with it. But I'm most of them, including myself, I'm helping out my friend Mario on a different film called. I'm going to shout out my friend Mario right now. He's working on a film called Hoyo and Everyone Else.
Hmm.
So we're all kind of helping uh, him with animating for that. So and I don't want to put any stress on anybody with this. So for now, I'm getting the main visual aspect of it down because
Hmm.
it's very specific to how I want. I have a very specific idea of how I want everything to look. So I'm working on that currently, and I'm hoping in the future because I know for a fact I can't animate all of this myself.
Of course,
So I'm hoping in the future that I can have other people help me
a
animate.
team.
But for now,
Hmm.
it's just me.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm
yeah,
excited
yeah.
to for people to see this.
Yeah. Do you think any of your characters will go through any major design changes?
Hmm. Finton. Oh, oh. Are you talking about as in character design or as in like the evolution of the character
Evolution of the animation more so.
of the
Uh,
animation? Probably not.
mhm,
My style has changed a lot from
mhm,
my. The pilot was my first ever like animated film I ever completed, and it has changed a lot. Like my style has changed a lot from that. That the pilot took 6 months to make as well, so it wasn't. It was very difficult to make the style changes, like the style
oh
as
no, I get that.
consistent. That was a nuts 6 months, but I loved it. But never doing that again. Anyway, but as for character evolution, there's for some characters there's definitely going to be like evolution with their designs, especially with Willa because she dyes her
Mhm,
hair. And I'm not going to say the reason why.
mhm.
But there's a reason why, and you're just going to have to find out
Ooh,
when you watch it. You're going to have to find out. You got to watch. You got to subscribe.
that's one of your
Gotta
enticements.
subscribe, guys.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm feeling like a YouTuber right now. Uh, but what was I saying? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna change. I'm pretty happy with how the style is right now.
Mhm,
But yes,
yeah,
some of them are going to
yeah,
have like different evolutions to their designs, which is
yeah.
exciting.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So, oh yeah, so this is a little sneak peek of this is a storyboarded scene for part one. And so this is voiced by my younger cousin Liz and her friend Sophia. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah. Just play it.
Log 2187, third orbital period that marks the noon of this year's training. And I'm just located in my usual spot. I don't really know why everyone went. I don't really see the point.
You missed the briefing this morning.
Ugh, I hate those things. You little people should know that.
Briefings are mandatory. You know how Mallory gets if we skip them.
Get a strike. I know. But I'm not exactly a star student like you are. I don't care if I get in trouble.
You can't just do something like that again. Why haven't you thought of me? What if I get in trouble?
How will you get in trouble for something that I do?
Well, first, I am expected to make sure everyone follows orders, right? And how's that gonna look when my best friend doesn't show up for me?
I thought it was just a briefing to you. I'm sorry.
Ugh, whatever. It's okay. I won't tell Mallory. I'll get lunch. Remember to show up for instructions today. I hear it's really important. Like, actually, this time.
Okay.
And that's the storyboards. At the end, right there, she hears shuffling in the ceiling. So that's why she looks up.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, very good storyboards. I'm very
thanks.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm curious. How old were your cousins when they recorded this? Your cousin.
She's I think they're both when we started recording, I think they were around 14. They're
Mhm.
15 now, I believe.
So old.
So I wanted to have kids voice the kid characters because I took inspiration from another
Wall.
inspiration for me was Hayao Miyazaki. He
Oh, I can see that.
he makes sure that the kids mostly are voiced by kid actors
Mhm.
for most of his films, and so I really wanted to
Yeah.
stay true to that because there's just something with like kids like playing kid characters like that because they are kids and
Yeah.
they my cousin is incredibly talented. Her friend is as well. They're both
Mhm.
in theater, which was a really great coincidence.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And uh, Liz is very much like Willa in a way. So
Mhm.
you know, she watched the pilot. She saw Emily's uh performance, and she took inspiration from that with her performance. So
Mhm.
they're both incredibly talented, and I'm really lucky to be able to work with them. It's really fun
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, even like I think pretty much also like even like the English cast for a lot of Miyazaki movies are like dubbed by like the most of the kids are like going to be played by
Yeah.
actual kids. Yeah, I do remember finding out Christian Bale played the character from Howl's movie Castle. That's still such a shock to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get used to that. Like, oh,
It's like my reaction to Robert Pattinson for with The Boy and the Heron when he
right.
voiced the Heron.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how on earth did he get that role?
Yeah,
Apparently he just did a recording of I think the casting directors didn't think he was going to be able to do it,
yeah.
and then he just sent in a funny recording of him doing the sounds of the heron. He went like, "Yeah, you got the job. You're
Yeah,
hired."
yeah. I mean, he basically just did his Willem Dafoe impression, who is
Yeah.
also in that movie.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yes.
the Boy and the Heron is really
Maito.
great.
Yeah.
Maito.
Yeah, his place just it's nice to have him just play a weird bird man instead of just kind of a good looking guy all the time. It's like I hope he's at that point
Uh-huh.
with his career where he can almost like Paul Giamatti it and just play like random characters you think would be funny or cool.
Exactly. I love his performance
Oh
a
no,
lot. It
yeah,
was really
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and
But
Cousin's really good. Yeah, but I do get like kind of needing new younger kid voice actors because it's one of those things of like you forget how old kids get and like how much their
mhm,
voices change.
definitely. And like the David who voiced Zeke in the pilot, he was 13 at the time.
Mhm.
He's and I'm still in contact with Emily and he's he's going to be his voice is going to be too old by that time, so I will have to recast him by the time I get to the series, which is okay. I'm kind of I was expecting that,
Mhm.
but it really I will have to plan that out like
Of course,
really
yeah.
much about a lot about okay, so this kid is gonna have his voice like this roughly around this time. Let's hope that it stays
Mhm.
that way until we get like later on.
Yeah, of course,
I'm gonna
yeah,
let him get the growth spurt in maybe a second season.
yeah. I mean, of
We'll
course,
see.
there are also yeah. I mean, that's what Adventure Time did when Finn got
Yeah,
older.
I took
They did,
inspiration from
yeah.
that because I really it was like he was growing up with the
Oh
audience,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I thought that is so cool
Who's the
how they did
man?
that.
Who's the 17-year-old man?
Who's 17-year-old man? Let's go.
I love that
But
voice actor, Jeremy something.
he's so good.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that's what I used as a reference for when we were looking for a voice for Zeke. I'm like, what with Finn? Whoever sounds like Finn. If we can find somebody,
Yeah.
and keep in mind we were in high school, so that was very difficult to find somebody in in less than 6 months because we had to animate his voice, like him lip syncing to the character too.
Mhm.
So that was very difficult, but
Yeah.
uh, it's another layer to the difficulty of just voice actors. But I've gotten really lucky with just the kids, and I get along with my cousin really well. She's a great friend of mine, and her friend. Funny enough, so there's a conflict with the characters with their friendship, and the
Mhm.
two voice actors for the friends are best friends in real life. Which
That's funny.
I
Yeah.
made that clear to them, like so you know what's the
Yeah.
conflict with these two characters are, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're fine, we're theater kids, we're used to this.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's funny how that's a lot in like voice acting, like communities and stuff like that. Like I remember the official like the Japanese cast for like One Piece, like Zoro and Sanji are like best friends in real life, like the voice actors.
really?
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah. And now in the English dub for like Full Metal Alchemist, the actors between Roy and Lust, Laura Kimley, I want to say. She played Catwoman and like Abby in Last of Us too, but they're married in real life.
Really? Oh, that's so interesting just to hear about the behind the scenes stuff.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's also like I do remember watching Avatar and like you get to season 3 and it's like you can tell which characters are kind of voiced by actual kids and which ones aren't, especially with
Definitely.
how much Aang's voice changes in season 3. It's like okay,
Yeah. Like, oh, he's grown up, which
yeah,
is so sweet.
yeah,
And like that's a cool aspect of that, like, especially with a kid audience, because it feels like you're
mhm,
growing up alongside these characters that you've grown to
yeah,
love, and so they kind of change along with you, which
yeah,
I want to kind of do the same thing with Zeke,
yeah,
essentially, especially because he's the main character.
mhm,
And I want people to connect. Well, I want people to connect with everyone. Except for Mallory. If anyone connects with Mallory, don't do that. But I want people to connect with a lot of the characters, but especially Zeke because he's the main character.
of course.
Uh, he's a really great character, and I hope that a lot of people come to love him and to just love his character. There's a lot to this boy that I'm gonna do. Uh, he's gonna go through it.
Yeah.
And I'm from the reactions I've gotten to the scripts in Moonbeam. Uh, to those people that are watching, you have not seen anything yet. You're like, just be prepared for what I'm gonna do to these kids
Mhm. Oh
because
yeah,
you're not
totally.
gonna be. Uh, but yeah. Is there any other questions that you have about?
Well, yeah, I want to ask you, where can we find your stuff? Do you guys have an Instagram or whatever?
Yes. Oh yes. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called KaitlynInSpace. There you can actually, so if you like the premise for Star Map and you want to learn more about it, or if you're just if you want to see any content about it at all, I do have a pilot up. It's 9 minutes long. It's a high school project. I made it in 6 months with a team. However, it's free to watch. It's the very first film I ever made, and it's it's really cool. I really love it, and the team that helped me make it. I'm still friends with a lot of them, and it was a really great time. So you can check out my YouTube channel. That's my pilot playing right there. So you can check out the pilot. It's free to watch. I also have an Instagram. So I have a personal one that's also called Caitlin in Space. But if you want like more frequent updates with Star Map content, you can follow me on starmap.official, where I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff, some concept work, just some like editing, some like little rough animation. It's pretty cool. I have other socials on I think I have a link tree as well. That's in the description of my in the description somewhere. Yeah, right there. I have a website. I have Threads. I have a TikTok as well, where you can learn more about just frequent behind the scenes. I work on this almost every day.
Mhm.
I work on this all the time whenever I find time, in between classes and stuff. But uh, you can find me on those. I'm pretty frequent with updates, and if anyone has any questions about this story of mine, always feel free to bother me about it, even if it's like in the middle of the night and you want to know, like, why what are you doing to Willa in Moonbeam? What are you gonna do? Feel free to ask me. I might not tell you, but you should do it. Don't ask me to say any spoilers, by the way. That's a joke. But yeah, those are my socials.
Oh, yeah. Super cool. Yeah, it's just one of those things of like, yeah, never be afraid to ask someone who's creating project questions, because it's like if anything, like I'd feel bad about like uh talking to Alon about a certain project.
I
Then
know, like, from especially with indie creators, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself when I say I love it when people ask me
Mhm.
questions about it. I drive people in my personal life nuts.
Oh, yeah.
My coworkers are already tired of me when it comes to talking about Star Map. That I love them. So if you have any questions about this, or not just with Star Map, but also with like film industry stuff, like, I'm not officially, we kind of all are in the industry in some way,
Oh no,
but
yeah, everyone starts somewhere.
if you have any questions about, like, how did I get to this point with Star Map, how, like, what programs do I use, how do I animate, what are some, like, recommendations to that, like, maybe if you have an indie project of your own and you want to know how do I get started with this, everyone kind of has their own different, like, way that they're comfortable with when it comes to putting something like this together. At the end of the day, it's a fun process, which is
Mhm.
making film. We're all making films. We're all telling our own stories, and I'm I'm open to answering those questions as well if anyone has any. I was a part of a film program in high school for 4 years, and with instructors that were in the industry as well. So feel free to ask me.
Yeah, no.
I this community is really exciting,
Yeah.
and just I want to connect with people.
Yeah, let me
Connections
just
are
say,
super
as someone
important.
who kind of went in a bit too fast with indie animation, like always, like never be afraid to ask someone with more experience, more questions, because like I started out and it's like my experience just came from like ghostwriting and like writing for people, mainly like
Mhm.
books and scripts and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, I'll do an indie, I'll turn an old comic into an indie animated pilot, and
Yeah.
uh, it was like, ah, it was a Herculean task. But now I know a lot more, and I have like a lot more professional friends, like a lot of people that work in the uh, industry level
Mhm.
professional, and we have been making more progress. Speaking of, here's a little preview for the
Oh
people.
my god, just Howling Hoods!
Yeah, yeah, with a bunch of jokes and references to stuff people my age will not get, like Cheers or Dick Tracy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's
And, like, a big thing with the industry is, especially with indie stuff, is just making connections. So,
oh no, of course, yeah.
if anyone watching this needs a connection, feel free to ask me, because
Hmm.
I know a lot of this stuff. I don't know everything, because at the end of the day, we're all still learning
Hmm.
stuff.
Of
Uh,
course.
but yeah, I love connecting with people and just learning more about other people's stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you for joining. Let them know one more time who you are and where they can find you.
Yeah, so my name is Caitlin. You can find me on most of my socials as KaitlynInSpace or starmap.official. Uh, and yeah, you can find frequent updates on the production of things right there.
Mhm.
So uh, thank you so much for having me. This has
Oh,
been
no problem.
really
Thank you for
exciting.
coming on. Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
th-
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Not a problem. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all next time. Yeah, if I might have another indie interview, or like hopefully maybe in early March. But if not, I will continue to update my community with more animation stuff. Until then, I'll see you guys later. All right, take it easy.
Bye.